In a previous video about configuring lists in Service Operations Workspace or any configurable workspace, we came upon this issue when configuring the list applicability. We click on the list reference and we only get the title, which makes it a little bit difficult because many of the lists have the same title, all, for example, or open. So the solution I provided in that video, or the workaround, I should say, is to either name your list something that's a little bit different. In that video, I did all dash to distinguish it from the other ones. Or you can use the filter to find the right list by the category or by the table that the list is under. So that's two possible solutions. This video will cover a more permanent solution, which will give us more columns to look at here. So just very briefly, to get back to why we're here to begin with, configuring lists. So what we're trying to do, or what we're doing, is if we're in Workspace and we're in Service Operations Workspace, we were working on configuring the lists that appear here with the list categories. We were doing in that video incidents-P1. And the way to get to all the links for doing that is you go to UI Builder, to the workspace that you're working on, and go to the list page, and then go to the list nav component on that page. And then over here, you get your three links to the main pieces that need to be configured. So it starts with this, you go into your configuration, and then you can configure a category, in this case, incidents P1, and then you configure a list and put it under that category. Then you go and create an audience, or you can use an existing audience using this applicability. And then finally, you go into this M2M applicability, which associates the audience with the list. So that's where we're at now, and I'm doing new, and I'm all set to do this final step, and I click on lists, the reference, and gosh, here I am. I'm stuck. I only get one column, and I have to go using this thing and that whole thing. So let's look at how to get more columns here. So you might think you just go to configure list layout and you say, okay, I can't, I get this message about it's in this private scope that cannot be edited. So fine, create a view in global. So if I try that, well, first let's just try something like test. So I do that, and I say, oh wow, okay, I can change that. And so let's add a category and table. And I save that, and no dice. I get back to my old view. And you can see actually the view that it's looking at, it seems to be the default view. No, here it is, sysref list. It's not default. It's going to sysref list. So you say, okay, let me configure sysref list. So go back to configure. I do create a view, and I do sysref list. And what happened? Maybe it didn't do it. So I go down here, and I see my tests. I don't see reference. I see reference list. But this is the reference list in this private scope. Okay, so let me try it from down here. New, sysref list. I do okay, and still no dice, getting the same thing. So what you actually have to do, and you can see here that it didn't create those sysref lists, it only created my test. So go back to the platform, and in the navigator type in view, and then go to System UI Views. Okay, so here's the test that I created. Let's go to sysref list. Okay, then I go to the related lists, and here I can see here's a sys underscore ux underscore list, which is the table that I'm looking at in here. When I click on this, right, I'm going sys underscore ux underscore list. So that's my guy. And I go in here and I see, yep, it's only got a one column title. And here I get the same message. Can't edit this because the scope is private, or the application is private. Okay, so what I can do here is right-click and do an insert and stay. So now this gives me a new record with no elements, sysref list in the global scope. Now I'm going to add an element here, title, and put that at position 0. And then I'll add another element for something else that I know is category. Put that at position 1. Okay, that's good for now. So I have these two. So now I have two views, one in the global application scope and the other one in this private application scope. So we go back here and we say, still getting this this title thing, this only a single column, and I go to configure list layout, and I'm still stuck with this this same thing. So the problem now is because actually what I just did, creating that list, that's great. But if you're like me and you did some other things, created some other views to try to fix this thing, you may have created a whole bunch of, well, here, we can go back here and go back to this, configure list layout, and I can see all the views down here. So this test thing is actually what's messing this thing up right now, this test view. So if I go back to the platform and go back to, right, UI views, same thing, view, and then system UI views. I go back here and I want to look at what's the stuff that I created. Well, here's the test that I created. So go in here and just blow this thing away. First of all, make sure it's the right one. And yeah, there's only one list attached to this, and sysux list. Okay, so we'll blow that away. And any other tests that you did or to try and resolve that problem. Okay, so now let's go back to our list applicability and we do our list, and bingo, now we have our title and our category. And now let's say we want to add additional columns. This is another kind of gotcha, because you might think you could go back here now and to list layout, but we still run into this thing. So, and there's no way of getting to the global reference list through here. So we have to go back to our record, sysux list, and we can add additional elements. So another one that's useful to have is sys underscore updated on. We can put that in position 2. And whoops, it's kicking me back here. And so sys updated on, and we'll give it a sys updated by, which we'll put in position 3. Okay, so now we have our 4 columns that are useful, and that'll be helpful. So now we go back here, and I click here, and I say, what the heck? It still didn't appear here. So this is where you got to do the old Control-Alt-Delete, the ServiceNow Control-Alt-Delete, which is cache.do. We blow away the cache, and then we come into here. Takes a second to load, and boom, now we have our 4 columns all set up here. So anytime you need to make a modification to these columns, if you want to add additional ones or change the order or whatever, don't forget to give it the Control-Alt-Delete cache.do in between. So that is